If you've ever looked at a beautiful, shiny Christmas ornament and thought, there's no way I could paint that, I'm here to prove you wrong. In this watercolor bauble tutorial, I'll show you a really simple way to get that glossy shine. And if you prefer to trace, I've included a line drawing template in the description so you can paint right along with me. I already have the ornament lightly drawn out. We'll start by adding the simple gold lines first. I'll show you exactly how to build up the color and shine without overthinking any of it. So grab your paints, get cozy, and let's begin. And I think I will start with the light gold. Just going to start with a finer point. And I'll add some of the dark gold on after. This is a vintage ornament, so you don't have to worry about being perfect. All right, let's get the little ring a little darker on the inside. I'm just going to grab some water. I'm just going to kind of pull that out. Then I'm going to grab the darker gold. I might even maybe grab a little of the bronze to help dull it down some. We don't want it to be too bright. Actually, I could grab a little bit of that orange. Oh yeah, that's better. Okay. Oh yeah, much better. So now I'm going to just darken where some of the shadows are. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that's dry. I'm going to wet the red ornament, but I'm not going to wet where I've painted. So I'm just going to, and in fact, you might have to hold it up to see this. You don't want to disturb the gold. So if you tilt it, you can see where you've wet. And maybe when you grab more water, just dab your brush so you're not flooding it with a huge amount of water. So you can kind of get it wet, and then we can put some more water on it after. And you've got to get right to the edge. Okay, so we're just going to make sure that it's good and wet. So I'm just kind of dropping some more water onto the stuff I've already put water on. And the damp paper will take the water and suck it in. I'm going to grab some nice bright red, and we'll start with that. So I'm going to pay attention to where I want the highlights. Oh, make sure and see how quick that spread there. So that might be a little wet because I have a lot of water there. So I'm just kind of controlling that with my brush. Dab on your paper towel to remove excess. Okay, so I've actually, let's see, I want this to be, let's rinse this, get the water out. I want this to be kind of part of the highlight as well. So I'm just going to lift some of that back out. Okay, so we want, there's no highlight over here. And you can see that it's pretty much dry over here. So I'm going to turn this and just, and that's okay because that's going to be darker on that side anyway. Okay, so I want my highlights to be kind of like a, it's almost like an oval. Okay, this is drying way too quick. Okay, that's all right. The good thing is that we do have it separated by the lines of gold. So I'm just filling everything in with the first color, except for, of course, the gold and the highlight. Okay, I just want a thirsty brush. I just want to get some of the highlight here. So I've just got a damp brush, and I'm just picking up some of that front where the light is hitting it. I'm going to dry this before we move on. Actually, I'm going to just see if I can get, a little bit of this off, because that, you don't want to end something right on a line. So just dab, just blot it off, wet it again, trying to avoid the gold. And if you have any pools of water, get rid of them. You want to let it sink in for a minute. And then we're going to start with our darker. Give it a little blot. Okay, we've got a dark ridge right here. This actually comes up around the top, and it actually has just a little line right there. A little bit there. I just want to get the nice darks in so we'd have kind of an idea. And we're still wet here. There is a highlight right here. I'm going to add a little more Payne's gray to this. Oh, that might have been a little too much. Yep, that's much better. So it's thicker. And it is definitely darker here on the sides. Under the cap. It is dark here. We have a very dark spot here. Now that we have the darks and the shadows mapped out, I'm going to go back to the very bright red and I'm going to start adding some color to the body of the ornament. This is where it really starts to come to life. Okay, I'm just going to pick up some of this here. It's kind of getting over into our highlight. Just going to re-wet that. Let's grab a little bit of the yellow. Oh, that's kind of taken away our highlight. Just going to grab a damp brush and I'm just pulling up our highlight. Okay, let's go back to our orange. Just going to pick up the edges, soft. I'm going to dry that. I'm going to just grab some water because this right here, it's round like this. I just want to get that back in there because I feel we've lost it. Just going to pick up some of this and I'm going to drop some of that orangey color here. Some of the really dark on the sides. And I'm just going to take a little wee tiny brush and I'm just going to kind of lift some of that red off of the gold. It'll come right up, no problem. Just have to blot, not rub. The paper's dry. I'm just loosening that paint, just barely, that went over top of the gold. And that's why I put the gold down first. I figured it'd be easier just to clean it up at the end rather than try to paint it over top of red. Okay, let's go back to our red. And we do have a little bit of a highlight here. So I'm just taking a damp brush and I'm just pulling it up. And a little bit there. Just going to turn my board that way and all I'm going to do is take my brush and I'm just going to soften that edge. So all I'm doing is just kind of wiggling my brush just to keep that a little softer. A little bit of the Payne's gray and I'm going to just get some of the darker shadows down bottom here. And actually there's some really dark shadows, so let me just get some really dark ones in. Like there's a big dark one here. And there's quite a bit of dark here. And now I'm just painting on dry paper. And we'll have a little bit of a shadow there. Okay, I'm just going to soften this, pick that little highlight out again, try to get a better brush for picking up. There we go. Let me just darken down this gold first. We'd have a little dark there. Very, very hard to see with such a little top. Gonna have a little shadow there. And all I did was take a little bit of that gold and mix a little bit of the Payne's gray in. And you know what? You don't even have to make these gold if you don't want to. You could use just the Payne's gray and make it look silver. All I'm doing is just, and I'm going to take this dulled down gold. Actually, I'm going to make it a little bit darker. Add a tiny bit more of the Payne's gray. Perfect. So it would be darker. The gold would be darker down here towards the bottom. Of course, because, and in the back where there's not as much light. Actually, probably a little bit here too. So it's going to be the brightest where there's a highlight. So I'm going to get my really light gold, and I'm just going to touch up the highlights again. Now we just have to do the ribbon. I think I'm just going to do the ribbon red. I'm just going to paint all of the ribbon, and I'll go in and put a shadow on the inside part after. I want to just get a tiny bit of the Payne's gray. Dab your brush. Make sure you have a nice little brush. I'm just going to put a little line here. Little shadow there. And I'm just going to, this is pretty dark on this side. Okay, I'm just going to dry that. Okay, we're just going to grab one of the darker, and all I'm going to do is paint the part behind that would be in the shadow, and that's all I'm going to do with that. I'm not going to do much else because we don't want any detail drawing our eye away. That is enough to suggest it.
And there it is. See? That glossy shine was so much easier to achieve than you thought. Thank you so much for painting this beautiful vintage bauble with me. If you love gentle, low-pressure art like this, please hit that subscribe button. It truly helps my channel. And if you want another quick holiday project, you can click on the screen right here for more. Keep creating, and I'll see you in the next video.